I recently made a post on Instagram and I said we can't process feelings we aren't honest about. And I just feel like processing feelings can be very important for your healing journey and also for really clearly seeing what your solution should be in any given situation. Now, granted, sometimes feelings are very quick, they're fleeting. It could be the irritation of having to go back because your order is wrong, someone cutting you off on the freeway. Usually those ones go away. But sometimes these big events happen to us and we don't process them. And then sometime later, a day, a week, even years later, these emotions come out because that's the first time we're actually addressing it. Now, I'm not sure if part of it is toxic positivity. I think we are sometimes pressured into saying, I'm good, everything will work out. Or, my least favorite, which is, you dodged a bullet. Like, it's not that bad. It could have been way worse. But in that toxic positivity, we're not giving ourselves space to even be honest to say, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I feel a little jealous, I felt abandoned in that moment. We're not giving ourselves a chance to voice our concerns. And in a way, we're sort of suppressing it and cramming it down. Now, in addition to toxic positivity, it could also be a fear of vulnerability. I've been in a lot of situations where a person is so clearly bothered. It is in their tone, it is in their mannerisms, it's in their posture. They're bothered. And they'll say, it's cool, I don't care, I'm not tripping. Or what about the people that keep bringing something up, but then saying, and I don't care. I don't care if they want to think that about me. You seem like you care because you're talking about it a lot, And so whether it is the toxic positivity or a fear of being vulnerable, which is very valid because there's lots of spaces that are just not safe for us to share our feelings the way we want to, we gloss it over. Plus, living in a capitalist society, sometimes we feel like there's not even any room for our tears. We literally have to get back up and show up for work and show up in other spaces. I think not processing our feelings also is because sometimes we want to rush to the solution. But I think we're capable of processing and thinking about how we feel in the moment while also looking ahead to what the future and future solution should be. In fact, processing may help us come up with a clearer solution. Plus, I feel like we all deserve the decency of our feelings being acknowledged. Sometimes when I think about feelings being acknowledged, I use the example of the times when I've been on the roadside and I've had to call AAA. Now, this is not a AAA ad at all, unless they want to sponsor me. But when I call and say, hi, I'm calling because I have a flat tire, without fail, because I've had a lot of them, they always say, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you someplace safe? And it is so just comforting because one, they know that it's probably the worst part of someone's day to have a flat tire and not expected. And then they're also acknowledging, are you someplace safe? Once you say, oh, thank you, and yes, I'm pulled over, I'm safe, here's my location, then they jump into, let's find you, let's get someone out to you, and let's figure out what the ETA is. We need to do that for ourselves, and we need to leave space to do that for others. It is okay to be solution-minded, but sometimes we need to take a pause and just really acknowledge how we feel. I think that's why sometimes when you see people having this oversized reaction to something that is fairly small, it is from a lack of addressing things in other scenarios. In the last 3 days, I have seen 2 different videos of people becoming violent with fast food workers, which I don't condone that anyway, but I really feel like this is a symptom of society, of people not processing feelings. Because how did an argument over guacamole have someone getting so heated that they became violent with the worker? And as wild as it is, to me, it shows you how many people are not addressing the spectrum of emotions they're feeling in other scenarios. Now, I acknowledge that sometimes we feel we don't have a voice. We feel like we're not being heard. We feel like we're not being understood. But it is up to us to process. Others may never create a safe space for us. It is up to us to create a safe space for ourselves Whether it is a journal, whether it is a voice memo in our phone, whether it is going out into the forest or somewhere in nature and just talking aloud to ourselves and to God, we need to create safe, gentle spaces where we can show up as our full, authentic selves in all our imperfections and process through every last bit of the emotions that we're feeling so that they actually have a chance to pass and we can see clearly and move forward to whatever the solution may need to be. I deserve that. You deserve that. The next person deserves that. Feelings are always valid, but I think when feelings become so out of proportion in comparison to the situations we're in, it is a little alarm bell. It is for us to look at ourselves and say, have I given myself enough space to process? Is my inner child screaming and kicking and having a tantrum right now because they're not being heard? They're frustrated. They're tired. What can I do to relieve this? And you'd be surprised, just sometimes even not even having a long speech, but just simply saying, that situation makes me really sad. You'd be surprised at how empowering it is to be able to identify and name that emotion. Now, should you choose to, you might say, why am I sad? And you can explore from there with a series of questions and maybe answers or, ideas that you're sort of exploring. Even if they're positive emotions, that situation made me feel really happy or really proud of myself. What about the times when we don't have space to process happy emotions because we feel that others around us are going through so much that we aren't able to celebrate ourselves? What then? Same thing. It can still lead to fatigue and frustration and oversized emotions in situations where it just doesn't make sense. So, if that's you or it's ever been you, I want you to look at things a little differently. It's not that you're doing things wrong, but the same way you would give a small child a chance to get all of those big feelings out and say, I know you're upset. I know that you did not want to eat that on the red plate, and not, in that patronizing way, but to say, yes, I know that's frustrating, but here's what we can do. Give yourself that same gentleness and patience. Allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of your emotions without judgment, just observation. Relieve yourself of the duty of having to rush to a solution. Even relieve yourself of the duty of having to find a lesson or silver lining in it. And allow yourself just to simply observe the situation you're in and how you feel. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening.